Hi, my name is Miss Christy. I am a teaching artist with the PACE program. We integrate art lessons with the school curriculum. We're coming to you today thanks to the Acadiana Center for the Arts, the nonprofit organization that manages the PACE program, and the Lafayette Parish school system in Lafayette, Louisiana. Today we're going to be talking about hummingbirds. Have you ever seen a hummingbird? Maybe you have a hummingbird feeder in your yard or a garden full of flowers that attracts them. The only materials you'll need for this project are paper, a pencil, and markers. We're going to draw in the details of our picture, and then we're going to use a technique called pointillism to fill in the colors of our hummingbird and the flower that it'll be eating out of. If there's ever a time during the project that you need to press pause to catch up, please do so and then press play. Everything in nature is made up of shapes. If you look around, you'll notice that there are circles, ovals, rectangles, squares, and everything that you see. So we're going to be working with different shapes in our picture, and the first thing I need you to do is use your piece of paper, which can be just regular copy paper or construction paper, and fold it twice to create two crease lines or two folded lines for me to guide you. You'll fold it one way by connecting the corners together and then folding it in half and then folding it in half again. I have my art students do this so that they can follow the directions based on where those lines fall. It's very important to draw with a pencil first so that you know where everything is before you color it in. When we do use the markers, we'll be going over all of our pencil marks with the markers. Are you ready? Here we go. We're going to start with the flower that our hummingbird is going to eat from. I want you to find the middle of your paper where the two lines crisscross. You can see that I have the paper oriented or positioned side to side. That's called landscape. This line that runs through the middle side to side is called a horizontal line. This line that runs up and down, do you know what that one's called? That's right. If you said vertical, that is a vertical line. So find the middle with your finger and go all the way to the left at the edge of the paper. This is where we're going to draw in our flowers. I want you to start with your pencil drawing a curved line from below that fold line up past it. You're going to double it up and draw a parallel line right next to it. Two lines side by side are called parallel lines. Next, you're going to open up this shape or these two lines into a kind of almost what looks like it's beginning to be a triangle. After you do that, go ahead and connect the two lines together. This is the base of the biggest flower that we're going to draw that has attracted our hummingbird. At the base of every flower, there are petals or parts of the base of the flower called sepals. And they're just going to be three oval shapes, one off the top corner, one off of the bottom corner, and one in the middle. 1, 2, 3 sepals. This at one point was closed and holding in the delicate petals, and now our flower has opened up, and we're going to draw a triangle coming out of that sepal. You're going to go out and diagonal up toward the top of the paper, and you're going to go diagonal down toward the bottom of the paper. Now we're going to draw two small diagonal lines going almost straight up and almost straight down. Then you're going to draw a wavy line connecting those two lines. We have right here what you might think of as a morning glory flower. Have you ever seen a morning glory? Well, they're big bell-shaped flowers. And hummingbirds love these flowers, especially if they're red. Now draw some straight lines going through your flower. Next, we're going to draw some smaller flowers down here. So to do that, first you're going to draw one that's a little bit droopy. You're going to start just below this stem and you're going to go down. And then you're going to do the same kind of parallel line that you did with the first one, pointing downward. Then you're going to create those sepals. 1, 2, 3. And this flower hasn't opened up yet. It's still closed up tight. We're going to draw two small lines coming down toward the bottom of the paper. You can see they're almost parallel, like the number 11. Next, we're going to connect those two with a small wavy line. And then we're going to draw those straight lines across the flower like we did before with our open flower. The last little flower bud that we're going to draw is coming up out of the same area, just like that. Almost as if it were pointing to the big open flower. This one, we're going to give it a little leaf. Then we're going to keep going with a little bit more of a stem. And we're going to draw those same 3 small sepals. This flower has also barely opened up yet. And you're going to draw that wavy line between the two. And give it those kind of lines or stripes going down toward the stem. There's our flowers. The next part is we're going to start drawing in our hummingbird. The shapes for the hummingbird are very simple, but they need to be connected in just the right way to form the body of the bird. One of the most distinct or recognizable features of the hummingbird are the beaks. They have long beaks that can reach into the flower. We're going to be drawing our hummingbird head close to the middle of the paper. So I want you to point to the middle with your finger and draw your finger across the paper and stop right here. We're not going in the middle or all the way to the end. We're going to stop before we get to the middle. And here, we're going to draw a circle. Watch me first and then you try. There. The circle is just about as big as the tip of my thumb. Hummingbirds are the smallest birds in the world, so we have to remember that our hummingbird is almost the same size as our flower. And it's going to be pointing its beak right toward the middle of the paper. So just draw one single straight line. Watch me first and then you try. Right across that middle fold that we made. Their little beaks are long, but they're very, very skinny. So for right now, just leave it as a single line. Right behind the beak, there's a little eye. Draw that eye close to the beak, but not right next to it. right above the fold line. The next shape that we're going to draw is a larger oval than the circle we made, but it's very important that we draw it in the right direction. So with your finger, I want you to point to the head of your hummingbird, and I want you to use your imagination and imagine that the body of the bird is pointing downward toward the middle of this bottom section of your paper. We're not pointing it right to the corner, but we're pointing it right here. So I want you to use your finger first to create this shape just in your imagination. Trace your finger up toward the bird and then back. And what this will do, it'll help you create the right angle for your body of your bird as it's flying in the air. So watch me draw the oval first. I'm not going to go all the way to the end, but I am going to draw toward the end of the paper here. My oval is about just the right size. But if you accidentally drew it too big, it would look something like that. Or if you drew it too fat, it would look something like that. And hummingbirds are little tiny skinny birds. They use up so much energy flying so fast. So before you erase, draw in the smaller shape that you want it to be. And then erase the places where you drew lines that you don't want them. That's why artists start with a pencil drawing first, so that we can have the right size shape going in the right direction. So this is just about the right size for a hummingbird body and a hummingbird head. The next thing you want to do is draw the wings. Now it's very important to draw the wings in the right direction. So I want you to point here just below the neck, where the neck will be, and draw a line toward that corner. Just use your finger. This is the direction this wing is going to point. And it creates an imaginary line when you use your hand to draw the imaginary line. Now you can use your pencil. Watch me first. Right here, I'm going to draw a little bit of a curved line toward that corner up there. You can see that my wing points toward the top corner, but it didn't go all the way to the end of the page. The next part is the other wing, and it's the same kind of imagining the direction you want it to go. I want you to point down here in that middle of the bottom section again. We thought about pointing the body in that direction, and now we're going to think about pointing the second wing in the same direction, but just a little bit higher. So you can actually put a little dot right here. Where we're going to begin the line, or the curved line, is in the middle of the body. So find the middle of the body and start there, and watch me first and then you try. You're going to draw a curved line to that dot. When you're finished with that, we're going to draw the back side of the wing. This line is going to help us find where the feathers are. Start at the tip of the wing, and you're going to curve it down to the body. Watch me first. I'm going to go out a little bit and then back in. The same thing with the other wing. I'm going to start by making a dot below this first line that I drew. I'm going to make that right here. Can you see that dot? After you draw the dot, put your pencil tip there. See how when I put my pencil tip, I can still see the dot? That's going to be just the right amount of space between the top of the wing and the bottom of the wing. You're going to draw another curved line just like this one from the tip of this wing around and to that dot. Next, erase this line that is drawn there that we had for the body of the bird. Now the bird's wing doesn't look see-through anymore. The tail is another set of simple shapes. It's kind of a little bit of a rectangle coming off the back of the bird. So right down here on the bottom, you're going to go toward this corner and stop. You're going to go up toward the point of that wing and stop. And then you're going to go back to the bottom of the bird. Next, we're going to make another set of tail feathers. We're going to start where we began, but this time we're going to make a little bit of a curve. We're going to go back toward the bird, and then we're going to go back out again, almost like a lightning strike. So out, back toward the bird, out again, and then back to the bottom of the bird. This is where we can put in some feather lines. Now we're going to draw the feathers of the wings. So start here at the top, and we're going to be creating a series of curved lines. Do you know what a curved line looks like? It looks like this one, right? But this time we're going to be creating curved lines all along this one. So in the air, before you draw, practice. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to be stopping in little points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And stop there at the body. It's not important how many you do. You just want to make sure that you do enough that it looks like feathers. We're going to do the same thing with this wing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you're just using that line that we drew before as a guide for how far out you need to go with those curved lines. Next part is the muscles that control those wings. Hummingbirds are very, very strong, and they have a muscle that's right here. So I want you to go below this line on the body and then draw, like I said, a parallel line going up the top of the wing. You're going to do the same thing with this wing. You're going to start with this part of the wing here where we put that dot, and you're going to draw a parallel line following the top of this wing. Next, we're going to draw a series of straight and diagonal lines going toward this muscle. If you want to fill in some lines here for feathers, you can, but we're going to be coloring that. There are little feathers that cover this part of the wing, but they're not as important as these feathers. And these feathers need to go toward the muscle. So when you draw these lines, make sure they're pointing toward the muscle of your wing. The same thing with this. Start at the tip, going toward those muscles. This is how the bird can control how fast it's flying, and it can fly backwards. It can fly forwards just like every other bird, but hummingbirds have a superpower. They can fly backwards, down, up, side to side. They can fly up to 30 miles an hour just going forward, and when they dive, they're going 60 miles an hour. That's as fast as a car. The next part is we're going to connect the head to the body. The neck is just a little swooping line that goes down and then over to the body. The same with the bottom of the neck. Go ahead and start by the beak, go around, then swoop toward the body, and then back down toward the chest of the bird. This creates that slender neck that the bird has. Next, we're going to go around the top of the head, and we're going to connect the top of the head with the beak. Did you see that? It's almost like a little sloping line down to the tip of that beak. And you're going to do the same with the other side. You're going to go around like where his chin would be and toward the beak, so that you're creating that place where the beak connects to the body. Now their beaks are long, so if you want to make yours longer, you can. And some of them even have a little bit of a turn at the end. Some of them have straight, long, pointy beaks, and then they have a little tongue that sticks out to drink the nectar inside of that flower. Over their eye, create just another little curve toward the beak. Oftentimes, they have special colors that flash in the sunlight. And so we're going to draw a small oval under its eye where we're going to put some extra color. The same thing with its neck. We're going to draw another little oval here, and we can even draw some lines going along its belly, because sometimes they have extra colors in the belly of their feathers. Right here toward the tail, you can put just a tiny little curve for where their feet are tucked into their body as they're flying. There, our hummingbird is ready to color. So I know you must be excited to color your bird, but we're going to do the flowers first to get some practice on how to do pointillism. Start with your lightest color first, yellow. When you're using markers, it's important not to mess up the tip so that it'll always be yellow. You're going to start by just doing the stem in a series of dots. Dot, 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 all the way up. That's just one line of dots. Do a few more here and there in the sepals and on the other stems. This is going to make a bright green for your stem. It's going to look like sunlight shining on the flowers. Now that you have some yellow dots, we're going to use green next. Remember, if you need some time to catch up, just press pause, catch up to where I am, and then press play, and we'll keep going together. Next, I'm going to make a series of green dots, and this time I'm going to be following the pencil marks. So fill in all of the places that you drew with pencil. This is very important, especially when you start your bird. Leaves, the stem, and the sepals, outline them in green dots. Not only does this hide where the pencil marks are, but it's also going to outline the shapes that you can fill pretty easily once you get those outlined. So I only have yellow dots in there now. Now I can just add a few green dots, and it makes the stem look green. There was an artist over 100 years ago named George Seurat that did paintings like this. And he studied color and light and the way that our eyes can see color and how our eyes can also be tricked by putting two different colors next to each other. So in the stem, there are little yellow dots next to the green dots, creating a lighter green. And he understood that if he put different colored dots next to each other, he could create a very interesting painting that shows light and color in ways that no one had ever painted before. So here I'm doing what he's doing, only I'm using markers. And I said before that the technique is called pointillism. So once you get your stem outlined in green along the pencil line, fill in with just a few more dots. Not only are we hiding the pencil, but we're also creating those shapes. There. Now my stems look like a bright green. What would happen if I were to add a little bit of blue? Let's see. I'm going to add blue at just the bottom of this stem. And watch what happens. Just along the pencil line at the bottom of the stem. And the bottom of the sepals. What did it create? It created a shadow. So in nature, wherever the light is hitting is the brightest area. And underneath, there's always a shadow. So just by doing this small line of blue dots, I created a shadow on that stem. So go ahead and do that with your blue marker. You could even use black or brown. A bit of a darker color is going to create a stem that looks three-dimensional. There. Next, we're going to create the color of our flower by doing the same kind of thing by using 2 or 3 different colors. Hummingbirds love red flowers. If you were to plant red flowers in your garden each summer, they would be attracted to your yard every year. So I'm going to start with red, but then I'm going to use some different colors to add shadows and highlights. First, I'm going to follow the pencil lines that I made. And you do the same. Think about what other color you want to go with your red flower. Morning glories are either blue or they're red, violet, and purple. And that's what I'm going to do with this one. But you can add pink or you can add blue after you fill in with some red. I'm following all of my pencil lines first, even for the little flowers. Remember, you can press pause to finish making your dots and then press play when you're caught up. Just about put dots on all of my pencil lines. And now I'm going to fill in with some dots between those shapes. And you can see I don't have to do a whole lot. I don't have to put my dots right next to each other. They can be spread out and my flower already looks like a red flower. So I've filled in as many red dots as I want to put for my flower, and now I'm going to use purple. And I'm going to start here at the base of the flower and just fill in a little bit to see if I like the way that looks. And I do. So you go ahead and start with your second color. And just fill in here and there. You don't have to fill in a lot. Just here and there, add a second color. And you're going to notice that it does something to the overall color of the flower. So I filled in as much purple as I wanted, and now I'm going to come in with pink. Remember, you want to put these dots next to each other, but you can leave a little bit of the white of the paper. I have my flower done in the three colors that I wanted, purple, red, and pink. And I'm ready to do my hummingbird. Now, there are 330 different kinds of hummingbirds. Hummingbirds are the only species of bird that have that many different kinds in the family of birds. So there's so many different colors and features to choose from. And I have several to show you here. There are some that are blue and purple, black, blue and purple, red and orange. They look gray until they turn into the light and they have bright pink heads. There are some that are green and blue-green. There are some that are just very plain and brown, but they're the biggest hummingbird. So you can do your hummingbird any colors that you want. They're all special and amazing, and they all have these amazing features of flying backwards. They weigh less than a nickel, but yet they can travel about 500 miles in a single migration. There are just under 20 kinds that actually come to North America and the United States where we live. And one of those is called a ruby-throated hummingbird. And I've actually seen this in my yard. So I'm going to do one that has a little bit of a red throat on it, but then I really like those blue-green colored ones, so I'm going to do a little bit of a blue-green color in the rest of its body. So you decide which colors do you want to use, and start with the one that has the most in it. So I'm going to use blue first, and I'm going to do exactly what I did with the stem and the flower. I'm going to outline my bird, starting with the head and going around on all my pencil marks with dots. This is really important to do because once you get those shapes filled in, you're going to be happy with how easy it is to fill those shapes after they're outlined. So see, I have just gone around the top and filled in where that muscle of the wing is. Now I'm going to go all the way around my bird. You do the same. Press pause if you need to, and then press play. So you can see that I went around all of my pencil marks and filled them in with blue. And I'm going to fill in a little bit of these areas, like where the muscles are of the bird. I'm going to fill in with blue, and a little bit between the shapes of the wings, between those lines, but not all the way because I'm going to be adding a lot of green to this bird. So you go ahead and do the same thing. Outline all of those parts of the bird where you drew pencil, and then fill in just a little bit here and there with those blue or red, orange, or green dots, whichever color you chose to do your bird. So you can see I've been filling in with purple. I filled in with green. I even put a little bit of pink in the wings. Some hummingbirds' wings light up whenever they hit the sun and their feathers are opened. Sometimes they are one color when they're one direction and a different color in the other direction. So now I want to show you that I followed along the beak with one single line of purple dots. And usually their beaks are a dark color or a light color and then a dark color on the tip. I'm going to use black to fill in its eye. And I'm going to follow the purple dots of the beak in one single line. You want to line those dots up side by side. They have tiny little beaks that fit into those flowers. And some flowers will only be pollinated by the species of hummingbird that can fit its beak into those flowers. That's called a symbiotic relationship. They work together, and the flower provides food for the hummingbird, and the hummingbird helps pollinate the flowers. So I wanted to make this a ruby-throated hummingbird. So I'm going to take my red, and I'm going to fill in red dots just in those small little oval shapes that I made for the red. So there's my hummingbird and the flower that it's getting nectar from. Hummingbirds only lay 2 eggs, and they make tiny little nests like a cup. And the female hummingbird is the one that takes care of those baby birds. And they're only with their mom for a few weeks before they're full grown and ready to go out and gather nectar on their own. They eat bugs whenever they need protein, and they are also called a bouquet when they fly together in a group. They are very aggressive towards each other, and they fight over flowers. There are hummingbirds that will guard a certain area where a specific flower is, and if any other hummingbird comes around, they'll fight with those hummingbirds. They'll even fight with hawks and eagles and crows, birds that are 10 times their size. So hummingbirds are fierce little creatures, and they fight for their territory. So I wish I could see your hummingbirds and what colors you chose to create your hummingbird and your flower. If you want to share your artwork with us, you can go to our Facebook page for the Acadiana Center for the Arts, Arts and Education, and post your artwork on our Facebook page. You can also email us, and if you are interested in supporting programs like this, you can go to our website, acadianacenterforthearts.org, and find out all of the programs that we have available. These lessons will be aired also on the Acadiana Open channel at 8 a.m. for kindergarten and 9 a.m. for first grade and second grade. All of our lessons are visual arts and creative movement, and they're designed for kindergarten, first, and second graders, but anyone is welcome to join us for these lessons. If you are interested in doing private lessons with me, you can contact me at my website. That's lushceramics.com, LushCeramics.com. Thanks again for being with me for this art lesson, and I hope you make art every day.